There comes a moment in every life when the weight gets too heavy, the noise is too loud, and the pace of the world outruns the rhythm of your soul. You feel it in your chest, that quiet frustration, the sense that you're made for more, but chained by less. You're busy but not building, moving but not rising, breathing but not alive. You're stuck. Not because you lack strength, but because you've forgotten where to place it. Not because you can't move, but because you keep pushing in the wrong direction. And the truth is, no one escapes that place. Not Lincoln, not Ford, not Edison. Every name we now call unstoppable once sat exactly where you're sitting, staring at a wall that felt permanent, facing a silence that felt final. But it wasn't, because being stuck isn't the end. It's a signal, a siren in your spirit that says, this is not where your story stops. But here's what separates those who stay stuck from those who rise. They learn to listen deeper, to silence the outside world long enough to hear the whisper within, that whisper that says, there's more, there's better, and it begins now. Because the first step from stuck to unstoppable isn't movement, it's clarity. You can't run your race if you don't know where you're going. You can't escape the fog if you refuse to define the fire inside you. So ask yourself the real question: what do you want, and who must you become to deserve it? Carnegie didn't build steel empires by accident. He had clarity so sharp it cut through every excuse. Walt Disney didn't see theme parks. He saw worlds before they were born. Their gift wasn't luck. It was vision backed by discipline. They were clear, and clarity is the fuel of the unstoppable. But clarity alone is not enough. Once you see the target, you must believe you can hit it. And belief, real, soul-deep belief, is forged in silence, tested in storms, and proven in motion. Change your thoughts and you change your world, but most people never get there because they keep thinking like who they were instead of who they're becoming. They pray for change, but speak in fear. They want success, but rehearse failure every day with their thoughts. You have to understand this. You don't attract what you wish for, you attract what you believe you are worthy of. So if you believe you're stuck, if you believe you're a victim, if you believe your past has more power than your potential, then no amount of hustle will save you. But if you shift that belief even slightly, if you begin to say, maybe I'm stronger than I thought, maybe I'm not done yet, then that tiny crack in the wall becomes a doorway. And once the mind opens, the body follows. The habits change, the energy returns, the fire reignites, and that's where discipline enters. Discipline is the bridge between clarity and creation. It's not sexy, it's not viral, it's not loud, but it's what transforms dreams into results. While others sleep in, you build. While others scroll, you study. While others quit, you finish. Discipline is what makes you dangerous because it means you've stopped waiting for permission. You become the author, the architect, the warrior. Unstoppable people are not lucky. They're consistent. They wake up with fire not because life is easy, but because they've made a decision that nothing, not failure, not fear, not fatigue, gets to outrun their purpose. But purpose without action is just potential on pause, and potential left unused turns toxic. It rots. It whispers to you late at night, "You're wasting me." And that voice will haunt you more than any failure ever could. Action is the alchemy. It's where thoughts become results, where belief becomes reality, where the vision in your mind becomes something you can hold in your hands. And here's the truth no one wants to admit. You will not feel like taking action every day. But feelings don't build futures, commitment does. The successful don't move when they're motivated. They move because they made a vow to themselves, to their future, to the person they refuse to die without becoming. That vow becomes armor because action brings resistance. Every time you step forward, life will push back. That's the price of leaving the cage. But inside that friction is something most people never learn to embrace: resilience. Resilience is not toughness. It's not a denial of pain. It's the refusal to be defined by it. When Thomas Edison's factory burned to the ground, he didn't mourn what was lost. He built again. He said, "Thank God all our mistakes were burned up. Now we can start fresh." That is not luck. That is not genius. That is mental mastery. Resilience is what turns obstacles into elevation. What once buried you becomes the ground you rise from. The mountain doesn't shrink. You grow, but only if you keep moving. And movement doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, private. The decision to show up when no one's watching. The act of rising at 5 a.m. when the world is asleep, the discipline to stay focused when the results aren't instant, because growth is not always visible, but it's always happening if you stay the course. And as you grow, something powerful happens. Your vision expands. What once looked impossible now feels inevitable, not because the world changed, but because you did. You no longer chase approval. You no longer fear opinions. You no longer measure success by speed, but by direction. You stop looking around. You start looking within. And that's where the real breakthrough begins. Because the most unstoppable people you know, they aren't loud, they aren't desperate, they aren't hustling to prove something. They are clear, grounded, certain. They have reprogrammed their inner world, and now the outer world bends to meet it. This is where power lives, not in perfection, not in privilege, but in alignment, when your beliefs, your actions, and your purpose all move in the same direction. And that kind of alignment creates flow, effort without struggle, progress without chaos. You're no longer forcing your way forward. You're pulled by something deeper. This is what unstoppable feels like. Not friction, but fire. Not chaos, but clarity. Not waiting, but becoming. And when you reach that place, the place where the vision is louder than the fear, where the belief is deeper than the doubt, where the discipline is stronger than the distraction, then you'll look back and realize something. You were never really stuck. You were simply being summoned, not to break down, but to break through, not to quit, but to rise, not to shrink, but to step fully into the strength that was always there, waiting on the other side of your decision.